Oh, hello friends. It is Julie. Welcome back to Pages and Pens, or Julie Z Author. I don't know what my channel's name is anymore, but I'm here with a reading vlog. So let's jump right into it. I told myself that I was going to use a book as a reward for finishing my edits of book 3. The book that I know is going to break me, and so I had to wait until I was done writing my book in order to start it. I'm sure it's already in the title or in the thumbnail. It is The Winners by Frederick Bachman. This is a small story about big questions. It's a story about family, community, life. It starts with a storm and a death, but how does it end? 2 years have passed since the events that no one wants to think about. Everyone has tried to move on, but there's something about this place that prevents it. The residents continue to grapple with life's big question. What is family? What is a community? And what, if anything, are we willing to sacrifice in order to protect them? As the locals of Beartown struggle to overcome the past, great change is on the horizon. Someone is coming home after a long time away. Someone will be laid to rest. Someone will fall in love. Someone will try to fix their marriage. And someone will do anything to save their children. Someone will submit to hate. Someone will fight. And someone will grab a gun and walk toward the ice rink. So what are the residents of Beartown willing to sacrifice for their home? Everything. Hi. This is Julie from the future. From the end of the book. There's going to be so many spoilers. So don't keep watching until you've read. Also, if you came here for tears, you're going to get them. I love Beartown and Us Against You. This is the third and final book of the Beartown trilogy. I didn't know at the beginning that it was going to be a trilogy. I thought we had a duology and that was it, and it was over, and I was crushed because I adore this world and I adore these characters, and they have such a huge place in my heart, and I am 100% certain that this is going to absolutely break me. I did, in preparation for this book, reread Beartown, and I reread Us Against You. The ride of that alone, it was just as impactful, just as beautiful. The writing is just as stunning, and I cried just as hard the second time around. Beautifully tabbed and annotated, hearts and underlines, tear stains, and then Us Against You with the same tabs and annotations. This one just says, my fucking heart. But I do recommend that you go read these. Did I order the paperback because I wanted it to match these? Yes. Was that selfish and silly because I know full well that it doesn't come out in paperback right away? Yes. This is not the correct size paperback. This thing is massive, not just in size but also in length. It's very long. Frederick Bachman has a beautiful way of doing characters and doing towns and doing these like small places that feel huge, very lived in, and very much like something that you would live, you know? So like when there's not a mention of like kroner or money that's not our money system, specific language that's used that puts you outside of the US, like it could be anywhere. The way that he crafts his stories, there's nothing prosy or purpley about his writing, but it is so gorgeous and impactful all the same. Like the simplest sentences, because of the context of them, are gorgeous. And his character work is impeccable. And when they say write small, when they say take something small, make it feel big, that's what he does for every character, every setting, every moment. He takes these small little moments in life with very big consequences, and he makes them so real and so relatable. He takes this small town in the middle of the woods that nobody knows about, and he makes you care so much about it. And there are characters within this book and this series that I would absolutely die for. I would lay my life on the line for Benji, and he is a fictional character, and I'm telling you right now, I would kill for him. This is the only book of his I have not read yet. His novellas, his nonfiction, absolutely everything. I've already read the first page, and already I have an annotation that says, I swear and know and a broken heart. Page 1 says, everyone who knew Benjamin Ovich, particularly those of us who knew him well enough to call him Benji, probably knew deep down that he was never the sort of person who was going to get a happy ending. And the last sentence on that page says, boys like Benji die young. They die violently. I will riot. And there's such a part of me that knows that Benji's not going to make it out of this unscathed, and I am devastated. I'm telling you right now, if something happens to Benji, you are going to see me ugly cry in the most vicious of ways. He always starts the books with these grand sweeping gestures. He follows through. For Beartown, the first sentence, late one evening, toward the end of March, a teenager picked up a double-barreled shotgun, walked into the forest, put the gun to someone else's forehead, pulled the trigger. This is a story of how we got there. And then he proceeds to tell you that exact story for Us Against You. Have you ever seen a town fall? Ours did. We'll end up saying that violence came to Beartown this summer, but that would be a lie. The violence was already here because sometimes hating one another is so easy that it seems incomprehensible that we ever do anything else. A boy, the star of a hockey team, raped a girl, and we lost our way. A community is the sum of its choices, and when two of our children said different things, we believed him, because that was easier. Because if the girl was lying, our lives could carry on as usual. People we love will die. We will bury our children beneath our most beautiful trees. God damn it, it's so good. Okay, Bachman makes me want to not be a writer. He makes me want to give the absolute F up. This is gonna be rough. It is day 2 of the winners, and I'm on page 108. I'm realizing too that like throughout Beartown and Us Against You, I annotated it really heavily the second read around. So anxious reading this because I know like we're leading up and he keeps saying somebody's gonna die, or this person wasn't important yet, or they hadn't found the keys to the gun cabinet yet. They'll wish that they had let him in, or you know, all these different things. And it's so, you know, bad stuff is coming, you know, bad stuff is coming, and it's like building and building and building. Very anxiety inducing, especially because you know by the third book that Bachman doesn't pull punches and he's not going to care about killing people that we love. The one so far that we've been talking about is this one that brings Maya back to Beartown. It's the one that brings Benji back to Beartown. It's the one that kind of gets Kira and Peter talking again when they really haven't been. Anna's literally gone running through the woods, driving through the woods, getting this pregnant woman to the hospital. I love that they named the little kid Vidar. I thought I was gonna know who was going through the woods to deliver a baby, and I legitimately, like in a fugue state, was like, oh my god, it's David and his girlfriend. And I was like, no, it's not David and his girlfriend, because this takes place 2 years after the last book, and like she was already actively pregnant in that book. But what I will say is what's really sad is seeing the way that Kira and Peter's relationship has kind of devolved, but also seeing Maya in her new environment and the PTSD and the trauma and the responses that she's having to things because of, and how it's not over for her and it's still haunting her, and she thought she was better and she thought that she was doing okay and that she had gotten away and things were all right, and then something sets her back. And that's really, really hard to watch. I'm not crying, but I'm not upset. Are you such a good girl? During the storm, Ramona dies. I love Ramona. The end of a life is as unstoppable as its beginning. We can't stop the first and last breaths we take any more than we can stop the wind. Ramona doesn't change into her nightdress. She sleeps with her clothes on, so no one will have to carry her out when she isn't decent. As a little Vidar is born in the forest, she dies in the bearskin. There's nothing untoward about it. It's time. All that holds us together in the forest is our stories, and we will never stop telling hers. And I'm just sitting here crying. And I had a note earlier that said, like, what would get Benji and Maya both back home at the same time? Like, what funeral would they possibly both go back for? And I even put in there that it has to be Ramona, because, like, nobody else would get everybody back. Madam Jasmine, you can't sit there. Who thought at the beginning of this book that I was going to feel for Timu? But I do. He's a straight up thug, but like he's a thug with a heart, and he always loved Ramona. He finds her and he doesn't know what to do, and he calls Peter and he's like, where are you? And he's like, I'm in the car with, where's Ramona? Well, she's with me. You have her in the car? He's like, I didn't know what I was supposed to do and I didn't want to leave her alone. And he's like, just stay there, I'm on my way. Benji's sister calls him to tell him about Ramona, and he's coming home, and he's been having just a time. He's just been doing drugs and being very, very self-destructive after leaving Beartown. And it says, the proof that time machines will never exist is that if one is ever invented at some point in the future, someone who loved Benji would use it at once to go back to this precise moment and stop him. Someone would stand here and take his arm and grin. Oh, screw the flight. Come on, let's go to the beach, grab a beer. Let's buy a boat, because then everything that is going to happen would never have happened. If only someone had appeared now and stopped him from going home. That's why we know time machines don't exist, because they're far more plentiful in Beartown than Benji believes, the people who love him. I am one of those people. I swear to you, you can literally take anybody. Maya used to tell him all the time, I hope you're one of the people that gets a happy ending. And Bachman keeps telling us that he's not. And I hate that for us so much. I don't want to live in a world where Benji doesn't exist, even if it's just inside the pages of these books. Page 227. We have Benji and Maya back in Beartown. We have Mateo, who is just getting more and more unhinged in a way that is scary. I hate that. But I think the storyline that is connecting with me the most and is like most impactful and emotional at this point is actually Amit's. He's really struggling with being like a cog in this Beartown, like a hockey cycle, and everybody's expectations of him and all of the weight that the town is putting on him, and how he doesn't really feel like he belongs, or he's just a product and he's just somebody that people have invested money in, and he has this obligation to return that, and he's got this like cycle of drinking and drugs and addiction, and Benji's in the same cycle, and it's like heartbreaking. But a couple things have actually happened, and some of the most beautiful lines have actually happened. One that was actually really poignant and just kind of like hit me hard, which is Heather, who is a mom and head. They're talking about her daughter, her 17-year-old daughter, and how she's taken on responsibilities around the household. The quote is, she suffers for being organized. If you show you are capable, you get even more to do. That's the curse of being a smart girl. I can relate. Benji and his mom, when he comes home, she like stumbles and runs to him and pulls him close, and then hugs him so hard her spine creaks, and whispers that she'd die without his heartbeat, and that she's hardly dared to breathe since he left because she didn't want to exhale the last of his air from her lungs. It's rough all around. You're seeing these kids that are taking on so much more than the adults know and that the adults want them to. They're broken, and people aren't really noticing, and they're not going to be able to hold it together for too much longer, and that's scary. We have somebody who kind of like conned Maya while she was on the train going home as like an old man, and he was actually a journalist investigating the political and financial corruption of the Beartown hockey team. Peter's signatures on all this paperwork that's like obviously criminally funded, whether he's a fall guy or whether he knew. I'm reading with Amber. I'm reading The Winners. Amber is actually reading my book and being a critique partner for it. And this girl has been sitting on my computer to a point where like I don't need her breaking the MacBook Air. So I set out my other computer for her to sit on. Page 302. I've stopped hearing about Benji, and I've stopped hearing about Maya, and I'm hearing a lot about hockey and political stuff and financial scandals. It's not my favorite part of the book. However, I do see like a little romance starting between Tessa and Bobo, and it's adorable. And I love that for them. Except for the fact that she's definitely 17 and he's 20. It's a little kind of freaked out by Mateo and his like uber religious family. And at this point, we know that his sister who passed left a diary that he found. Entry that I'm just getting to, I haven't finished reading, that basically says that like in the first sentence or two I saw that like once you've had sex with somebody, they assume that you want to have sex with everybody. So I have a feeling something happened to her along the same lines as Maya. Nobody believed her, and that it led to her alcohol and drug addiction and her leaving and her subsequent death. This kid is so filled with rage, and he's such a loner and such an outsider, and I know for a fact that he's stealing into these like neighbors' homes for like warmth and just for like an escape, and that they have this gun closet, and I'm terrified of what he's gonna do. Crime of passion kind of like situation happening, and I'm nervous. Anna and Vidar didn't get their kind of like HEA, so I'm kind of hoping that Bobo and Tessa do. There's so many moving parts and there's so many new characters in this story that make me nervous, and the fact that like Timu now has somebody else to like rival his like weird mafia badassness in Lev is really strange, because like Timu was enough. The pack was enough. Reading like really late at night, like 1, 2 a.m. and I'm just like not pulling out a camera because I'm a hot mess. But I'm currently on page 423, which puts me about, it says 61%, but I feel like I'm more than 61%. StoryGraph has me at 61. Hi, baby. Did you hear me talking? So impressed by Amit and how much he's gone through, and him kind of overcoming the expectations of people around him. And I am so overwhelmed by Zakel's just like strategy and brain, and the way that this coach thinks about team and players, and just her strategy. She's brilliant. I'm nervous for Kira because she's now hanging out and working with Tails. I feel like nothing good is going to come with her relationship with Peter when she's inserting herself in something that was his, that she convinced him to leave. So he's finally like out of hockey and kind of just finding his way back in, helping Zakel, and she's getting involved with the committee and with Tails and with the legal part of things. And there's just not very much that's great about that, because it is not a fantastic situation. Like, there's corruption and there's just political and financial corruption that's gone into the team. And the fact that Tails kind of framed Peter for a lot of that is absolute garbage. And I'm nervous for what it's going to mean for their relationship that's already so rocky if she gets involved with that. I also love that Peter drove like 8 hours round trip to go get this player to recruit him for the team, even though he's not really involved with the team anymore. And he walks in the door and Maya's like, locks eyes, and he's like, get him out of the house. Like, he's supposed to be staying there with them. And he's like, one night, because he could see his daughter's interested in him, which is cute. And I love that for her healing, and I love that for her process. Benji is still adorable, and watching him come back to Beartown and watching handle the expectations and opinions of people, and how he says he hates coming back to the forest because that's all he is there, is somebody who can fight, somebody who can hurt people. And he changes that a little bit. Bachman's really good about giving you like a little bit of ease, because you start to feel for Bobo and Tess, and you start to like love their little budding relationship, and you know that like Bobo would do anything for her. You worry that like something's gonna happen to him, but Bachman does say that like they get married and have a ton of kids. She reminds him when they're old of like things that are happening now, and you're like, okay, they're gonna be okay. They're gonna be all right. So you can at least breathe through that a little bit. There's some of the most beautiful writing in this too, and I'm finding some of the most poignant stuff for me in this book particularly are between Heather and Tess, the mom and the daughter. Tess was always the good one. She was the one that nobody had to worry about. She set herself up for, you know, this failure, that she set herself up for her mom feeling the way that she does, because she made it so that they didn't have to worry about her. So the second that they do, it becomes such a you know, so much worse than anything that her brothers would have done, because it's expected of them. And I resonate with that on such a deep level. And I can't get over how fantastic it is. You just want some loves? You don't usually come out when the dryer's on. It scares you. Are you liking it? I love her so much. It's stupid. But suffice it to say, I am absolutely loving it. And this will not be the first Bachman I don't give 5 stars to. I'll tell you that right now. I'm along for the ride. I'm along for the journey. And I'm just going to let myself feel the feels. It's phenomenal. And I am constantly struck by how much I love these very small moments between characters, and how much they mean and how much they build on the story itself. But we have been ignoring a couple storylines recently in the book, which is bringing me these like feels, like all of these like warm and fuzzies, and I know he's setting me up for something awful. I keep getting more signs that Benji's gonna die. Or these people that are like, I wish I would have gone up to him and said this. Or they'll always remember this moment. Or this person's gonna be great, but Benji won't be around to see it. And it's, I can't handle it. I can't handle it. Bobo's dad talking to Tess, and he's like, if he ever treats you wrong, tell me and I'll kill him. And then Tess's dad talking to Bobo and being like, don't you dare hold her back. And he's like, it's not up to you whether or not she's with me. And she cries when she talks about you. So either she needs to care about me less, or you need to start like getting over the fact that she's with me. The men just being very protective of her is very cute on both sides. There was just this really, really sweet moment with Maya and Benji where she's like, I'm proud of you. And he said, I'm proud of you too. And they're talking about where they would be in life if they had never known Kevin. If Kevin just hadn't been around, would she still live there? And she was like, yeah, I probably would. I'd probably have, you know, a hockey player husband and 2 kids and a cat and a dog. And then he was like, well, if your husband ever leaves you, you know, I would move in with you and help you with the kids and the animals or whatever. And she was like, if my husband ever left you, it would probably be because you slept with him. And he's like, yeah, probably. Their lives would look a lot different if Kevin had never been in them, which was heartbreaking. There's something about Benji and Maya's relationship that's really heartwarming. Annotations here that say, my actual heart. Tess whispers to Bobo, is this going too fast for you? He says, everything's always gone too fast for me. I'm not very quick. And she goes, will you forgive me when I get really angry with you? And he goes, what have I done? She goes, nothing yet, but sooner or later you're going to do something. And he says, you can get as angry with me as you like, as long as you don't leave. One day they will get married and have kids of their own, and Tess will say the same thing to Bobo then that she once heard her mom say to her dad. If we get divorced, I hope we don't part as friends. I hate it when people say that. If we get divorced as friends, that means that we don't love each other enough to be able to hurt one another anymore. So if you love me, really love me, you need to love me so much that it drives you mad. And he will never stop. Oh, Bobo. Like, I can't with them. Tess was punished because she had gotten her parents used to expecting her to be sensible and reliable, the one her mother never had to worry about. I expect it better from you, her mom said. Mothers and daughters know how to wound each other in totally unique ways, possibly because daughters often carry the guilt of their mother's consciences until they end up arguing about sins they haven't even committed. Look at this line. I can't even stand it. My dad says pressure is a privilege. If you don't feel pressure, that's just because you've never done anything valuable enough for people to have expectations of you. That's a beautiful line. God, Jesus. I mean, what is this singular piece of hair doing? Is that a real thing? Was that doing that whole time? I'm going to keep reading for a little bit longer, but it's almost midnight. It's been 2 pages. It's only been 2 pages. Oh no. They get the guys out on the ice, and Benji's out on the ice with with Mumble and Amit and Big City, and Peter comes out. And Maya's in the stands, and they're cheering, and they're laughing, and Bobo goes out to play. Benji pukes, and it makes Amit sick to his stomach. Or no, it makes Bobo sick to his stomach, and then Amit's mom comes down to clean it, and he takes it, won't let her do it, and he does it instead, and it's like this big, really cool, really fun event, and it's after hours, and it should be shut down, and it's not, and it says, Amit will remember this evening as the start of something, and Bobo as the end of something. For Peter, it feels like belonging to something again, and for Mumble, it feels like belonging to something for the very first time. For Big City, it's like getting a second chance to be a little kid and fall head over heels in love with hockey again. How it feels for Benji, nobody knows. This is the last time they see him play. One day, Maya will write a song about this evening, and her notepad will be soaked with tears. I remember that evening a while ago, one of the last we knew before the blow. For one night we finally got to see the man we dreamed you'd always be. Your body a blur, your heart at ease. You were all you wanted to be, happy and safe and free. Where are you now, my friend? I cannot know, but I remember that evening a lifetime ago. And then the next chapter is literally titled Murderers. I don't know if I'm ready for it. Oh, I just got to like a part of it where We get a little bit of clarity on like the whole Mateo thing. We know that Mateo's sister Ruth was also raped. Basically, the people that raped her, he believes, are responsible for her death, which I'm sure they are. Inadvertently. She died later after she left town. Mumble goes to the graveside and goes to Ruth's grave and just sits on it and sobs and says he's sorry over and over and over again. So he's obviously one of the people responsible. Mateo now wants to murder him. And I feel like Benji's going to try to do something brave. And that's going to be what happens here. Also, Benji and Big City have a big talk and it's really cute. And then there's like flirting with Maya and, and Big City, she said. Benji passed the island on to the girls. They were women now. Maya rests her tips on the tips of her fingers on Benji's shoulder very briefly and whispers, "It's very romantic here. So I'm going to say straight off that if you bring my future husband out here and try to sleep with him, I'll kill you." And Benji roars with laughter. It was bullshit, Bachman. They just killed Soon's dog with rat poison. And it's this freaking Mateo kid. And there's this line that says, "We will say in hindsight that boys like him commit their crimes because they want to feel powerful. But that isn't right. He just wants to stop feeling powerless." That's so powerful, but I'm so angry. Like, this kid's been let down by his parents. He's been let down by the town. Nobody's looking out for him. He's so angry. There's so much anger in him. He just wants justice. He just wants, like, justice for his sister. He's harboring so much anger. But he killed a dog, man. That's not cool. Also, Benji is just like loving on this little 7-year-old girl and in like the sweetest way helping her through her trauma. Him and his sister go out and he's like, "I'm gonna kill them all for killing the dog," because he knows it's somebody from Head. I'm so scared. Because if his sister's in danger, he's gonna throw himself in the way. I know he's not gonna make it. He's not gonna make it. And it kills me. And I just hope, I don't know, like, I don't know what I hope for him. I hope he has an honorable death. Like, I hope he doesn't go off into the forest like his father did. I don't know what I want. I want him to live forever. And if I don't finish this book, he will. But I know I can't do that. Absolutely nothing good is gonna come of this. I'm on page scared. I'm on page 550. I am so nervous. Things are happening. Benji and his sister just saved little tiny, oh God, what's her name? Alicia. They just took Alicia out of this fight and they are taking her back to Soon's. And it says that later when she's playing in like, on like the national team, they'll ask what name she wants on her back. And she uses Ovich. She's like, oh, it's precious. Scary section here when this fight breaks out. It's been building. It's been building and building and building. And you know it's going to be this volatile, horrible thing. And I know that this like whole Mateo situation is still going to come to fruition and like bad shit is going to happen. Just bad shit's going to happen. There's so much tension. And what drives me crazy is that you've got this Theo guy who's, and even Tails, dude, it's pissing me off. But you have these people that are just pulling these strings and they can see how volatile it is and they can see how bad it's about to get. And they're just encouraging it because it's good for business. And people are going to get hurt and people are going to die. And I'm so nervous. Like, I'm like, if they were real people, nervous. I feel like I'm more conflicted at the end of this book and saying goodbye to these characters than I am the series that I'm writing, which is a weird thing. But I feel like they always like live in my head. Like, they're still going about their day and like doing their thing in my head. I can continue to write their story in my own brain, but I can't with these guys. I have my emotional support loaf. I got to page 582 and I'm stopping for the night. I can leave it on wholesome moments of Bobo telling Benji that he loves him and Maya telling Benji that she loves him and Benji saying, "If I was into girls, I'd fall in love with you." And she said, if I was into donkeys, I'd fall in love with you too. Maya telling Benji that he looks happy. She loves that for him. She can't sing because she doesn't have her guitar and she can't do one without the other. She says, "I will sing for you tomorrow." And then it says she'll sing for him every night after that. And then Mateo goes and unlocks a gun case. Not ready to handle that at 12 o'clock at night. Those are tears for tomorrow. I have less than 100 pages now. He uses repetition so smartly. He uses repetition so well. Usually I hate repetition in books. But he uses these phrases and these lines and these themes over and over and over again in this series and in his other books. I'm here for the end of the winners and the Beartown series, and I'm terrified, but I have a box of tissues, I have my emotional support cat, and I'm gonna do this. I've got about 90 pages left. Excuse you, madam, it's still my bed. We're getting Ruth's story, and it's freaking hateful. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate that for ages this story of women being sexually assaulted and raped and the laws being written against them. It says the laws were not written for girls like Ruth. They were written against her. The things that happen to them as they go forward and they report things and they try to get justice. The responses of communities and of men, it's so disgusting, and it's so accurate, and it's not the first book that covers these topics, but bookending the series with another event like this, even though technically it took place before Maya's rape, it's rough getting into all of this again. Fuck. Your love was like organ donation. You and Dad and Leo gave me pieces of your heart and lungs and skeletons so I could put myself back together again, and now you hardly have the strength to stand up and keep breathing yourselves. I think about that so often, and I think about all the girls who don't have you. I feel like I only just managed to survive this. How the hell does everyone who doesn't have you as their mom even stand a chance? It's beautiful, but that hurts. Fuck. Oh no. No, no, no. Fuck. No. Do not do it. Holy shit. That's lots of tears. Lots of them. Oh, man. No, 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 no. No, no, no. I literally can't handle this. I did have makeup on at one point here. No. Fuck. Fuck. Fuck, fuck, fuck. Oh, you're getting what you wanted. Oh, you're getting what you motherfucking wanted. Oh, god damn it. Oh, god damn it. Not a flattering angle. Not flattering tears. This is not cute. This is not cute. Fuck you, Frederick Bachman. Fuck, fuck, fuck. Fuck. Oh, fuck. In the very worst moment, in the middle of the greatest terror, mothers and big sisters from the whole forest ran to protect her. Is this whole entire trilogy about Alicia? No, 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 no. Oh, no, no, no. Oh, I need to breathe for a second. I don't know how to keep reading. I'm so angry that all this is literally just heartache caused by the anger inside of men, in their inability to express emotion, in their inability to support and love one another, in how broken Kevin's father was and his relationship with his father was, how broken that entire dynamic was, and how it broke him, how his violence led to so much more violence, and how other broken, ridiculous men who feel entitled to shit they have no right to perpetuate this stupid cycle of hate and violence. And how many people suffer for it because as a society we don't know how to break the fucking cycle, and it's really not that hard. It really isn't. Just teach your sons better. It's not about teaching women to be more careful. We know. That's what he says in the book. We know. You don't have to tell us that we need to be careful around men, that we can't drink too much, that we can't wear certain clothes. You don't have to tell us. We know. Why don't you start by raising your sons right? Start by holding your friends accountable. Start by calling them out on their bullshit and on their problematic talk and on their problematic behavior, and don't let them get away with shit. Don't make it okay. We make it okay for these men, and then they feel empowered because other men don't call them out on their bullshit, and women are believed when they do, and it builds this festering hate and anger. I knew Benji wasn't gonna make it out. I knew. But that hurt. That hurt a lot. Everyone who knew Benjamin Ovich, particularly those of us who knew him well enough to call him Benji, would have wished him a really long story, a secure life, a happy ending. We hoped, oh, how we hoped. But deep down, we probably knew that he wasn't the sort who got that, because he was always the sort of person who stood in the way, the sort who protected, the sort who ran. He always thought he was the bad guy in all the stories. The real heroes always do. That's why stories about boys like him never end up with them growing old. Stories about boys like him only end up with us no longer dreaming of time machines. Because if one was ever invented in the distant future, it would already have been used to travel back here by someone who loved him. There are so many of us. I still have like 20 pages. My hands are shaking. I don't know how to keep going. And my cat's terrified. She's just down there. She doesn't know what to do with me. I'm gonna try to finish this. We're getting like the rundown, pretty much like an epilogue of how everybody turns out. Zakel, this woman, wins hundreds of games and yada yada yada. She'll make an exception to her strictest rule. She lets somebody play with the number 16 again. For one single game, Alicia gets up from the bench in the locker room and leads her team out and storms the ice, and Zakel watches her and for a single moment forgets that it isn't him. Shit. No, no, no. There are tears on this paper. No. Oh god, this is really fucking hard. This is ridiculous. I don't understand how this whole book was about this little girl and not my Benji. This is ridiculous. I mean, it's done. I don't really have any feelings right now. I mean, I have a lot of feelings, but they're all very overwhelming, and I don't really know how to, like, I don't know how to talk about them. This is not a cute look. Guys, I know you wanted tears. That's what you guys always want, but this is not my best look. Damn it. It's so good. I don't want it to be over. How can it be over? I've been reading these books since 2016, so it's been a minute, but they are perfection, and I will fight anybody on that, and I will still burn this whole world down for Benji. These characters mean so much to me, and the redemption of Tails, who's still an asshole, and fucking Mumble, goddamn Mumble, who never tells anybody who Mateo was there to try to kill, and just plays every single day, trying to make amends, and then fucking retires and goes out to his grave and just loads a rifle and walks into the woods. And little Alicia, who is just a rock star that the whole town came to protect. The fact that she has Ovich on her back, that's the name she goes by. And that she lays down in the middle of every ice rink and looks up at the ceiling and remembers Benji. Damn it. It's obviously a 5-star read. I don't know if that was up for debate or if that was not certain, but like, it's a 5-star read. It's perfect, and I've said it the whole time. His writing is simple, but it's so poignant, and it's so beautiful, and he uses repetition in the most painful ways. Not just with the word, specifically the word bang, but he starts the book with that paragraph about Benji. And if we had a time machine, we would have all gone back to save him. And he ends the book with it, and he just, like, the definition of a mirror image of the beginning and the end of a book, and he tells you exactly what's gonna happen, and then he fucking strings you along until he breaks your heart, and you know it's coming. You absolutely know it's coming, and it still destroys you because it's so him. He's just sitting in the locker room with his head back, sleeping pretty much, because that's what he always does in there. And Alicia's right in front of Mateo, and he doesn't even think about it. He throws himself at this kid who's holding a gun and tackles him and pushes him out of the locker room and gets shot twice in the heart. And it says, of course it was the heart. He was all heart. It was so quick. Screw you, Bachman. And I kind of don't want to read anything for the rest of the year now, just so that can be my last read of the year. It won't be. But damn it. If you came here for my vlog of the winners, I hope you've already read it, because I do not want to spoil anybody for this. Commiserate with me down in the comments, because this was not easy. This was not an easy read. Not even a little bit. But that's gonna be it for this video. If you liked it, you're a sadistic asshole, but give me a thumbs up anyway, click subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye, friends.